Hello and welcome again to class. Thank you so much for staying tuned. Thank you for joining the class. We appreciate you subscribing. If you've not subscribed, please do. If you're not following, please do follow. So you get value, you get more valuable contents. We've been sharing a number of them. We started previously with ailments that affect diseases, and they were now in nutrition. Now we've already started with calcium, which is a mineral. And then we've looked also at the historical perspective of calcium. These are the things to expect. We've also looked at the sources of calcium being spinach, the dairy products, milk, cheese, and yogurt. And also we looked at the functions of calcium, making a healthy bones and also good for contraction, nervous impulse sending, and the others. Now you want to get those things, watch the videos, the previous videos. If you've missed them, please do yourself this good of checking the previous videos. Thank you so much again for liking. If you've not liked, subscribe, please share the video. You're getting value. Now let's go to what we have today. Now in the last class I talked about some key facts about calcium, that 99% of the calcium in the body are in the bones and the teeth, and also 9 to 12 milligrams of blood serum of every 100 mils of blood serum is also calcium. Now we looked at today, we'll go into deficiency symptoms. Deficiency symptoms. We're going into absorption, and then we'll go into deficiency symptoms next class. Sorry, please. So we looked at absorption. Please pardon for that. We'll be going to deficiency symptoms next class, but today we'll be looking at absorption of calcium. Now calcium absorption occurs mainly in the small intestine, the jejunum, and the duodenum apart. Now the small intestine has three compartments: have the ileum, the duodenum, and the jejunum. So these are the parts. Now absorption occurs in these two parts, calcium absorption. Now, we have the two mechanisms by which it is absorbed in the body. Number one being by active transport and passive diffusion. Active and passive. Active is very visible, and then the passive not very visible or not very noticeable, but it's actually happening. The active transport occurs usually in the presence of vitamin D, and it's usually dependent on it. Now that's why you link people saying, oh, take vitamin D, stay in the sun, in the morning sun, it's good, a good source of vitamin C. Now we'll look at the passive diffusion, which is the second part, mechanism by which calcium is absorbed into the body. Now why are we talking about absorption? Absorption is linked to consumption. Now when something is consumed, it is expected to go through digestion, and after digestion is absorption. Now when it's absorbed into the body, into the parts of the body where it's going to be useful. Now passive diffusion, when calcium is usually in high intake. Now there are factors that help absorption, and factors that inhibit absorption. Now let's look at some of the factors that enhances it. We talked about this already in passing by saying vitamin D, which is most important factor that helps absorption of calcium. And then the presence of lactose, usually for infants. Lactose is the milk sugar, the sugar in the milk of not just breastfeeding, lactating down or lactating mothers in terms of humans, down in terms of every other mammal female. The lactose is the sugar in the milk. The presence of this sugar, lactose, helps the absorption of vitamin D. You can think of it, it helps because you're taking the food. If calcium is important for healthy bone and teeth, which helps and encourages growth. And then a slight acidic medium in the gastrointestinal tract, that is the GIT or the gut. We talk about it. Then quickly go to factors that can stop or inhibit it. Now anything that is helping it, the flip side of it or the opposite of it, would also ensure the inhibition of calcium. But this time we'll look at other aspects apart from these ones, the opposite of these three. One is high oxalate. Oxalate is usually found more in spinach. Now spinach is a very good source of calcium. Now when you have an excessive level of oxalate in the spinach, it begins to have a contrary effect. Also phytic acid. Phytate, a sort of phytic acid, is usually in grains like legumes and the others. When you have an unusually high level of phytic acid inside the legumes. Now legumes, if we go back to the previous video, please go to the previous video if you know what. When we looked at the sources of calcium, grains are good one. Good legumes, lentils, beans, cowpea and the others. But they have phytic acid, phytates, the salt of phytic acid. An excessively high level of phytic acid inhibits the absorption of calcium. So these are factors that are affected. And then excess dietary fat. Fat consumed in food. How do we get dietary fat in food? Now, for dietary fat is different from fats in the body. The fats in the body most often are from combustion of carbohydrates. Excessive consumption of carbohydrates are now stored as fat. But dietary fat consumed from oils, the oils and the fat, especially from the oils, like you have the palm oil, the other vegetable oils and the others. Excessive dietary fat from them. Then another factor that inhibits absorption of calcium is something that is true: age. Things that perform well, including cars, electronics, once they begin to age, you begin to see that the function begin to slow down. So it also affects the absorption of calcium. Now, we've gone about in the study of calcium, the lecture of calcium. We looked at the brief history, calcium sources. We've also looked at the functions of calcium for bones, healthy bones and teeth. Now, we have not looked at this. Today we've looked at absorption. In the next class, we'll be looking at deficiency symptoms, metabolism, and hopefully draw the curtain on it if the length of the video will not be too much. Now, thank you so much for staying tuned. If you're gaining value, please like and share, tell others, make others know that it's happening. It's also encouraging to us to see that people are watching. Please watch again and again. Thank you. Let's see you in the next class. Bye.